Can you tell when someone is trying to manipulate you? It's hard sometimes, I know. Hi, I'm Gina here at Hope and Cope. We talk about essential skills we need to have our best life in spite of painful and sometimes even tragic events and situations. Recently, we talked about enabling and the challenge it is to be a loving family member or friend of someone with a drug addiction. And today we're going to talk about how those people use manipulation and maybe even bullying and abuse to manipulate us. In that other video, we talked about a couple components of enabling. One is trying to avoid consequences for that person, so cleaning up after them and lying for them, and then also giving them money and enabling by providing the resource that they need to get the drugs or alcohol, and what that looks like and how we can try to put that back on the loved one. We try to take their problems on us, and then we just lose sight of who we are, and we just bear all of their responsibilities. If they're having child support issues, if they're having custody issues, if they are having job issues and they're on their third strike at work and they're about to lose their maybe third or fourth job for the year, they're about to lose their apartment, their roommate is kicking them out. You know, a lot of things can get really tragic in the life of someone with an addiction, and the more we let them find their bottom and realize I've got a really serious problem and I need to figure it out, the more they will turn to a solution instead of just a quick fix, which is you give me $100 and I'll go get my next fix. So we just really want to try to avoid enabling that person to the fullest extent of our ability. And we talked about trying to be strong in front of them, saying things like, hey, I'm really sorry, that's a tough situation, but I've got a lot of confidence in you. I know you'll figure it out. You're so smart, you're so talented, you've got a lot going on for you, and just try to put it back on them gently. But then the other thing that is a little more insidious is when they actually try to manipulate us. They say that things are our fault. They blame us for their problems. They find some reason that it's our fault, and then we have this sense of obligation. So if my situation being the spouse, and I will just say Rob did not really do this, but I went to Al-Anon for years, and you hear a lot of stories of a lot of people that have been through a lot of different situations, and the addict might want to blame you for their situation. But what I want you to be aware of, and tell yourself over and over again if you have to, every human being is responsible for their own behavior. If they are an adult, and not all addicts are, but if they are an adult, then they're responsible for their own behavior. So we might have had some role to play, but they also have their own decisions to make. They may try to blame you, put false blame on you, say something like, well, you don't make enough money, or you focus too much on the children, or you don't focus enough on me, or your interests have changed, or you put on weight since we got married. And then it could be a whole host of other blame that would be put on you by a child or a sibling or a parent. But we don't have to take responsibility for the things that they say. If they're not true, then you can just say, well, that is your opinion, that is how you feel, and I'm sorry about that, but you're still responsible for your own actions. Something I like to say that helps to keep me grounded is I am not going to let someone control me that can't even control themselves. So if you've got someone in your life that is trying to control you, manipulate you, they can't even control themselves, they have not earned the right. Not that I think we should let anyone control us, but they have not earned the right to control you when they can't control themselves. So that is just, in my mind, a clear indicator that they are manipulating, and that I do not have to receive what they are trying to say about me. We talked recently in another video about an example that they give in Al-Anon that says, if someone called you a chair, would that make you a chair? Well, of course it doesn't. And that's so absurd, we can see that. But these other things can be equally as absurd. And then we go like, oh no, maybe it is my fault. Maybe I do have an obligation. Maybe I should lie for them, or buy this thing for them, or take on that debt for them, or whatever it is. And I just want to encourage you that the longer we enable our loved ones, likely the longer they're going to stay in their addiction, and the harder it is ever going to be for them to find recovery. So a lot of times it makes us feel better when we do something to enable. We get to put out that little fire and we're like, whew, okay, we're through this little episode. And so it actually helps us to feel some measure of peace or peace of mind over their situation, but it really isn't helping them in the long run. So just try to be tough. Call a friend, call somebody that will have your back, somebody that will say, you're right, you did the right thing, I'm proud of you, it's hard, I know, but I'm here for you if you need to talk. And just somebody to be there to give you support. And then, of course, I highly recommend also being in a good support program like Al-Anon, where you can always go and talk about your issues and be there to hear what other people have to say about their own issues. Addiction is a disease. So try to be rational about what's going on and say, I'm not going to argue with a sick person. They can have their opinion. It doesn't mean I have to receive what they say. And there's another example through Al-Anon that just says, drop the rope. If someone's pulling, you do not have to pull on the other end and tug of war back and forth with them. You can just simply drop your end of the rope. There's no sense in arguing and trying to defend yourself, trying to get them to see a rational point of view when they're probably not going to, because they're just manipulating to get what they want. And if they don't get what they want, they're not going to be happy. Something else I said in the last video, I just want to repeat here, is that every person that is affected by someone else's addiction has to go through the seasons of enabling for themselves. I can't draw the lines for you. You can't draw them for me. I shouldn't blame you and you shouldn't blame me. We're just all doing the best we can. The more knowledge we have, the better we can do with making rational decisions in the face of someone with an addiction. If there have been any suggestions that I have made in this video or the last that you feel like you cannot bear for whatever reason, then I just want you to know, just think about it, pray about it, give it time, and when you're ready, when you have the strength, you will be able to do it. Try not to take shame on yourself because you are not able to do something in the life of a loved one that you just don't have the strength for right now. I really hope this information was helpful. That's always my heart's intention. The same thing with the video I have lined up next. And I also add extra encouragement in the description box if you want to check that out. If you liked this content, please hit the thumbs up button. If you know anybody that could be helped by it, please share it with a friend. I'm putting content out twice a week now, so be looking for that. And remember, I'm praying for you, and until the next time, God bless.